welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. In this one, I want to talk about Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, and why, after reading this biography by Lesley Hazleton, I have changed my views slightly, ever so slightly, about Muhammad. But many of my previous views have remained the same, really, and I don't think they will ever change. And I will reveal these views near the end of my article and this video. Yes, I mean, this book was great, to be honest. It was a great book, a great biography of Muhammad. It provided a new perspective on this famous man who, let's be honest, he did change history. Yes, he has established Islam. Well, he established Islam as a major religion. He unified the lands of Arabia. He unified this peninsula, this Arabian Peninsula, into one super tribe because, as I discovered when reading this book, this area, this landmass, was quite divided. There were a lot of different tribes in Arabia back then when Muhammad was alive, and they were warring against each other constantly. And Muhammad was able to unify them all. Yes, so there's no doubt that Muhammad was a political genius, we could say. Yes, when it came to politics, to diplomacy, to worldly affairs. Yes, he was a genius. Yes, like Napoleon, for example. But I'll provide my own assessment of Muhammad at the end. I don't want to say at the moment, now, at the beginning, what I truly think of him. First, I just want to talk about him from the humanist perspective. Yes, I want to apply humanist thought and try to understand Muhammad's actions. Yes, trying to discover the human side of him. Yes, because as Lesley Hazleton said, to idealize someone is also in a way to dehumanize them. Nobody's perfect. Yes, nobody's perfect. And of course, in my view, Muhammad, he made many mistakes. He was immoral. He was unethical. I'll go into the reasons why. But at the same time, after reading his biography, I noticed that he had positive traits. Yes, yeah, and we shouldn't just totally dismiss him. Yes, we should strive to understand the world of Islam. Try to understand the Muslims, their perspective, and yeah, no, and I guess after this, notice that Islam and the Middle East, it did have an impact on history. Yes, it preserved, it definitely preserved a lot of knowledge and transferred this knowledge to European civilization afterwards. I think this is true. Yes, a lot of Muslims make this argument that the world of Islam, all these countries associated with Islam, they preserved the history, the science, and the knowledge of previous centuries, and because of this, Europe eventually was able to utilize this knowledge to build its unique civilization. So, I mean, I think this argument is correct. Yes. I mean, the world of Islam, Muslims, they're a source of much progress in the world as well. For example, algebra. I believe algebra is an Islamic invention. Yes, algebra. Golden Age. Algebra was established as an independent mathematical discipline during the Islamic Golden Age. Scholars translated, synthesized, and expanded upon Greek, Indian, and Babylonian mathematical traditions to create new algebraic methods, laying the foundation for modern science and computation. So, I mean, yes, this is true. Yes, the world of Islam, it made an impact. Yes, it was a source of progress. Yes, this is not. I hear a lot of Westerners say, "Oh, is Islam, the Muslim world, the world of Islam has always been backwards." No, not always. No, I don't think always. I mean, recently, probably yes. I agree, because there's a problem in Islam. There's fundamentalist problem. They have this problem with fundamentalism that they need to overcome in order to kind of adapt to the modern world. Yes, but in previous centuries, they clearly made an impact. Obviously, Islam, the source of Islam is Muhammad. So I guess we have to go to the roots. Yes, we need to talk about Muhammad. Yes, and try and understand him more. Try and understand his life, his human side, and perhaps see some of the goodness in him as well. Yes. So here we have a picture of a cave where a cave where apparently Muhammad had his divine revelations. Yes. Now, either you believe he was led by God, or you believe that he was led by a false spirit. I think we can't really answer this question. We can only speculate. You can't answer in the definitive, and for either of these options. Yes, you just have to choose. Yes, it boils down to a choice. Personally, I don't know. I just don't think Muhammad was led by God. I think he was led by a false spirit, unfortunately. And Islam is a heresy. It's a heresy, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it's a Christian heresy that Muhammad established. Yes, it's just my opinion. I mean, I share this opinion with other thinkers, like, for example, E. Michael Jones, a lot of other Christian thinkers, etc. G.K. Chesterton as well. And in general, I think Christians, they view Islam as just a heretical offspring of Christianity, yes. But nonetheless, look, we can see that Islam, the world of Islam, they have made an impact on history. So let's talk a bit more about Muhammad, yes. So as I mentioned in my previous videos, I've recently entered the world of Islam from an intellectual standpoint. Yes, I don't go to a mosque. I've never been to a mosque. I don't pray to Muhammad. I don't recite the Quran or anything. I mean, I've read this book on Sufism recently. I've read up on Sufism online on Wikipedia and other sources. I've read some poetry of Rumi online, and all of this has made an impact on me. I can't lie. I can't deny this. There's a lot of beauty, yes, in Sufism. I think a lot of beauty and truth. And personally, I mean, I like this mystical side of Islam. To be honest, I think there's something beautiful about it. Yes. Recently, I've also been reading the Quran. So here I've got this copy of the Quran, the Penguin copy. I mean, the Quran is it's basically poetry, isn't it? The Quran, it's a poetic treatise on God. Yes, and obviously it shares a lot in common with Christianity. Some of the stories as well. that we find in the Quran are those that we find in the Bible. Many of the figures mentioned in the Quran are found in the Bible. So I mean, I guess there are some similarities, yes, but also, there's also a lot of passages that incite hate, yes, and violence towards Christians and Jews. So I mean, here we have a contradiction, yes. But anyway, going back to my article, so since Sufism is a strain of Islam, yes, and the source of Islam is Muhammad, I thought it was necessary to discover more about Muhammad himself, yes. So this is the only biography that I've read of Muhammad so far. So I don't know if it's the best biography. It's just the one I came across, and I chose to read it. Yes, and there are a lot of other biographies, I'm sure. Perhaps they are more accurate, but this is the one I chose to read. And after reading it, some of my previous conceptions regarding Islam and Muhammad have remained the same. But I've found a newfound respect for what Muhammad managed to achieve. Muhammad, he had a very difficult life. There's no doubt about this. He had a difficult life, and obviously this new view of mine is dependent on the veracity of the facts found within this biography. So I don't know. Maybe Lesley was making a lot of stuff up. I don't know. I don't think she did, because obviously she cross-referenced what she said with other authors, etc. And overall, this biography has positive reviews, yes, on the internet. So at times I noticed she did manipulate. Well, not manipulate, but how can I put this in English? Basically, the arguments she used to justify Muhammad's actions were weak, basically. This was my impression. But at the same time, she shared a lot of information about Muhammad's life, which made me see Muhammad in a new way, yes? And I'd like to begin with his childhood, yes? So Muhammad, he had a very difficult childhood. He was orphaned 3 times. So he was born an orphan. Then when he was 5 or 6, he was an orphan again. So another family adopted him. And then when he was 8 or 9, I believe, he was orphaned for the 3rd and final time. So this must have made an impact on his psyche, yes? Because we have to remember, Muhammad, he's a human. He's a human being, yes. So this must have had an effect on his mental state, I guess. Yes, surely. And living in the desert back then was very difficult. I mean, now it's easier, obviously, because of modernity. When we look at Saudi Arabia and other countries found in this area, there's a lot of progress there. Yes, these mega cities. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, etc. But back then, life was very difficult. The desert obviously is known for being dry, arid, humid, and it was not a healthy place to live in. It was you had to struggle. You had to struggle in order to survive. Yes. So this is a passage from Hazleton's book, and this is what she wrote: "Cities were not healthy places to be. And for all its new prosperity, 6th century Mecca was no different. At the height of summer, when daytime temperatures regularly reached over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the air was barely breathable. Fumes from cooking fires were held in by the ring of mountains around the city, and vultures wheeled above the dung heap on the edge of town, a noxious dump where refuse rotted and fermented, earning it the name of Mountain of Smoke. Hyenas snuffled and scavenged there by night, and the narrow alleys echoed with their howls. With no sewage system or running water, infections spread rapidly." So I guess this gives you an idea of the environment that Muhammad lived in, yes? So both the cities were dirty, kind of disorganized, yes, difficult to live in. And of course, the desert itself is difficult to live in, because outside of a city, all you had there back then was this desert, yes, and a few oases, sources of water. So definitely a difficult life to lead. And during these orphan years, Muhammad, he soaked up a lot of the culture around him. So he was totally immersed in the Bedouin life of the desert. He was involved in the camel trade, working with these camels, engaging in trade, and eventually he worked his way up, yes, to become an independent agent. And I guess this must have developed his negotiation skills. And I guess by having this profession, he could learn a lot about the art of politics, yes, how to manipulate other tribes, how to negotiate, and of course he travelled across the whole area. He spent time in Medina, he spent time in Mecca, he spent time in Damascus. Perhaps he spent time in other places. I can't remember now exactly which ones, but maybe if anyone's watching, they can comment. Yes, so he obviously soaked up all the theological debates taking place between the Jews and the Christians. So he definitely had some knowledge about theology. I'm sure he did, but unfortunately, I just don't accept the fact that the Quran is the final revelation of God. I just don't accept this. So Jesus is Lord, and the Bible comes first, not the Quran. So this is just my view. I don't think this will ever change. I know it will I know it will never change. But I'm trying to bridge the gap. Yes, I'm trying to cross boundaries. I'm trying to reach out to the Muslims. Yes, and well, from the humanist perspective, yes, because humanism is the only thing left that could perhaps save the relationship between Muslims and Christians. Because ultimately, I think there are irreconcilable differences. Christians worship Jesus, Muslims worship Muhammad, and there's just no way to bridge this gap. So the only other way is via humanist thought. Yes, and this is what I'm trying to do now. So now I'd like to move on to the religious experiences of Muhammad. And here again, I'd like to reiterate, I said this at the beginning, but we don't know by what spirit Muhammad was led. This is all speculation now. You can't verify it. You can't tell. You can't. So therefore it's a choice. Either you trust that Muhammad was led by God, or you believe that he was led by some strange demon or some Satan or whatever. We can only speculate. And what I would say is that there was this incident when Muhammad proclaimed the Satanic Verses, yes? And when he was living there back then, other Muslims or the Arabs, they pointed this out, yes. So Muhammad was reciting these Satanic verses, but then he retracted them, having noticed that he was mistaken, and admitting to having been led by a false spirit. So, well, here we can analyze this event from two perspectives. We can actually give him credit because by showing his weakness, perhaps, and by showing that he was in error, he actually shows some strength, yes? But then at the same time, it leaves us with a tinge of suspicion when it comes to the rest of the Quran. Can we tell whether the rest of the Quran is from God? How can we tell? If this happened, yes? If Muhammad was led by Satan here when he was reciting these verses, who's to say that the other verses weren't also led by by Satan, yes? Who's to say that these verses that Muhammad shared and recited weren't also demonically inspired? I mean, I think there is a tinge of suspicion here, in my view. But you know, this human fallibility displayed by Muhammad, I think it, in a way, it does work in his favor, because and here, well, in this case, I argue, well, not I argued, I agreed with the author that unfortunately in our modern culture, admitting to a mistake is still viewed as a sign of weakness rather than strength. This is definitely true. A lot of people always want to show the fact that they are, yes, you know, always right, that they are superior intellectually, etc. They never want to admit the fact that they perhaps made a mistake, that they were inaccurate in their thought in the past. And by doing this, you know, they think that they are closer to the truth, yes, or something like this. But I agree with the author. If you contradict yourself often, not often, but if you have these contradictions in your mind, if you admit to making mistakes, you know, both ethical, moral, and intellectual in the past, it actually shows you're making progress. Yes, you're trying to you know, overcome these paradoxes. You're trying to work your way around these paradoxes. You're trying to improve yourself, and this is a sign of strength rather than weakness. So here, this human fallibility displayed by Muhammad is, I think, it ultimately works in his favor in a way. Yes, but still, I mean, I guess I've got this conflict in my mind now. Yes, on the one hand, I see the positive behavior displayed by Muhammad, yes, but on the other hand, I also still doubt, yes, the veracity of the Quran. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this event, yes, these satanic verses. Now, in the later life of Muhammad, as Muhammad grew older, he applies himself more and more to the political domain. We witnessed the deft negotiating and political skill he employed, yes, and in eventually being able to unite the whole Arab lands. And eventually he creates this one super tribe. he deserves respect for this. And here he reminds me of Napoleon and other famous historical figures, political figures, military figures, yes, who shaked up the political arena and created massive change. And I also like the sentiment that the author Lesley shares when she views Muhammad as being an outsider who became the ultimate insider. That is true. He was a bit of an outsider, and then because he was an outsider, he noticed all the processes taking place. He knew exactly kind of what was going on. He knew the divisions. He knew the theological debates taking place, etc. And so, but by this process, he was able to become the ultimate insider. Yes, and he capitalized on this knowledge and this information by combining political pragmatism with this visionary insight and, according to the Muslims, the divine revelation that he received, yes, in this cave. Oh man. Yes, so this divine revelation, according to the Muslims, it supersedes all previous revelations. And here I disagree. Because when we compare Muhammad to Jesus, personally, I don't think they even belong in the same sentence. I mean, Muhammad was a worldly figure, very worldly, very earthly. Jesus was totally of the spirit. Yes, Jesus was from another dimension. Uh, so many actions that Muhammad made. Yes, so many actions that he undertook that really question his integrity and the idea of him being holy. I mean, he had so many wives. Yes, he had this strange relationship with Aisha, a small girl, where he consummated his marriage when Aisha was only what 8 or 9 years old. I mean, sorry, come on, man. Like, I don't, I don't buy this argument that only because it took 2,000 years ago, because it took place 2,000 years ago, things were different back then. Apparently, a small girl back then would have been more mature or would have consented. I mean, sorry, but no. A small girl is a small girl. You can't. Come on. This is not a moral action. It's not an ethical action. And Muhammad used force and violence, yes, for political ends, which means that in essence he's not a holy figure. I'm sorry, but he does not belong in the same sentence as Jesus. He did not belong in the same sentence. Muhammad, I associate him more with Napoleon. He was like Napoleon, like an Arabian Napoleon. He's an Arabian Napoleon-like figure who unified all the tribes there in Arabia and created an empire. So he was a political figure. He wasn't a religious figure. I think this is pretty obvious. Once you think a bit more about Islam and Muhammad, you notice this. And the Muhammad's life and deeds, they still reverberate in our postmodern world. Because Muslims who follow Muhammad, they try to imitate him, and it leads them to for example, in the UK, we have all these scandals. Yes, Rotherham scandal, all these other scandals that concern young Christian girls. Yes, we see a lot of violence against Christians, displayed in Nigeria, for example, and other lands. Muslims just they just display violence towards Christians. For example, in Nigeria and other places, they just kill, destroy, steal. That's all they do. Now, here, obviously, Muslims can make the same argument against Jews and Christians, yes? So obviously we can see what's happening in Gaza. We saw what took place in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Libya. So obviously here I would agree that both the actions of the West, of Western civilization, and the actions of some of these crazy Muslims are equal in a sense. They're both as bad as each other. Here I would agree. But still, it's this is what I'm trying to get at. Is this that in the Bible, in the New Testament, we don't see Jesus inciting violence. Yes, Jesus doesn't incite violence against non-believers, whereas Muhammad does incite violence against non-believers. So this is a key distinction that we have to make. Which is why, at the end of the day, we don't know the true motives and intentions of Muslims, yes, towards Jews and Christians. Sometimes, Muslims, they display warm and cordial behavior, but sometimes they display cruel and unpredictable behaviors. So we can't really tell, yes? Now, at this moment in time, I'd like to mention the fact that I met a lot of Muslims recently, within the past, maybe 5 years, 6 years, and I didn't feel any animosity from them. I reckon I can imagine a hypothetical scenario where if I lived alongside them for 50 years, I know that nothing would happen. I know that they wouldn't try to kill me or whatever, or that they would try to steal something, or undermine me in any way. I think I just so for example, I met Muslims from Morocco. I met a few Muslims from Morocco. I met a few Muslims from Iraq, from Afghanistan, a few from Syria, I think as well. Yes, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Morocco. And Iran, yes. Well, I don't know if they were Muslim, but I met many Persians recently as well, many Iranians, and I felt good alongside them. I have to be honest. I didn't feel uncomfortable. So I guess here again I'm contradicting myself. Yes. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that we need to exchange ideas. We need to have conversations with each other. We need to engage in dialectics. We need to have a healthy dialogue in order to build trust. I think this is the most important thing. This is what can save us from negative outcomes. Yes, and we should engage in humanist thought, because I think humanist thought can save us from a potential civil war. So, civil war is brewing, yes, in the UK and in France, definitely. I don't know about Germany. I think in Germany things are more stable, but in France and in the UK, definitely things are quite unstable there, in a political sense, yes. So yes, this is why I ended my article with this sentence. Yes, all we can do is hope that a reconciliation is possible for the sake of civilization. And with that, I'd like to end my video. I don't want to waste more of your time. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you learned something as you listened along. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you spending your time here on the JJ Think Tank and listening to what I have to say. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing and liking the video. If you are an existing subscriber, please like. It will help me grow the channel and spread more vital information. I'd also like to know your thoughts about Muhammad, about Islam, and about the Muslims that you have met in your life, in your personal life. It'll be interesting to hear your stories. But yes, that's the end of the video. Once again, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care.